You see this garden here? To you, it may seem like it's an ordinary garden with just beautiful flowers. To some, it may not even be that impressive, which is fine. But before I tell you what this garden really is, I'll tell you its story. This garden was designed by my beautiful mother and sister. It's been 3 years since they've been creating this garden and still much more to do. You might be thinking that 3 years is a lot of time for so little to be done on that land. But you see, this garden wasn't always a garden, but before it was bush, a lot of bush. It was filled with creatures and snakes that was harmful to our home when we first moved in. At first, it wasn't about any garden, but instead it was just all about clearing enough of the land so that my niece, who was still very young at the time, wouldn't be endangered by any of the creatures and snakes when she's outside. What started off as just clearing bush actually turned out to be God's way of opening our eyes to see something more beautiful that could be if we put in the work. My sister began getting a desire to clear this land even further than she was expecting to, and it came across crazy to so many people at the time that they tried to stop her by saying offensive words to her and speaking wrong against the land. But how many of you know that what God bless, no man can curse? My mom, being an expert of plants and garden, she found a spot on the land where she was able to dig up rich soil that was used to produce her own garden soil and even able to produce bags of it to sell as a business. But after a while, the heavy rains came and caused the entire area to turn into a swamp. We couldn't retrieve soil for anymore due to how badly the land was flooded. Even a large tree fell. After a while, the mess was so bad we weren't able to put any work into the land anymore, and it felt like we just fell right back into the state where it all started and where snakes and other creatures started appearing again. It wasn't until only after a couple months passed my sister overcame the mindset of giving up and began working on the garden again with my mom. Day by day, week by week, they worked tirelessly. Drains had to be dug for the water to find its way to the main drain. The tree had to be cut into pieces, and what was supposed to destroy the garden was actually used as plant tools and decorations. Today, after all the trials my mom and my sister had to endure, they've managed to bring the garden to a point where we as a family and guests can enjoy the ambience of it. Also, what used to be dangerous area for my niece has now become a playing field for her to enjoy. Here's why I told you the story of this garden. I told you all of this to tell you that when I look at this garden, I don't see a garden. I actually see a representation of us and God. Maybe your life is like the bush before the garden, when nothing makes sense and everything in your life isn't only toxic and harmful to you, but also to those around you. I hear God saying, I want to turn your bush into a garden. But guess what? In the middle of the process, even when you feel like you're seeing progress, expect the heavy rains and the winds, and expect the people around you to say that you're crazy and speaking death over your growth, because right after that, you may not want to do anything for a while. You'll feel like giving up, because after some time, what once used to look like progress can actually look like it's all falling right back into the same state it started with. And if you begin to believe that your dream of having a garden is dead, if you begin to believe that your dream of accomplishing your life goals is dead, if you only begin to believe it's all for nothing, then my friends, that's when the poisonous and harmful creatures will become crawling back in. But here's the most valuable thing I caught after the rains. I learned how important rest is. Don't mistake a choice to rest with a choice to give up. It's only until you rest in God after your trials will then you'll be able to start back working at it again even more effectively. And just like the trees in the garden, what was meant to destroy your dream will actually be used to make it look even better in the end. So don't stop believing in your gift. Don't stop believing in your process. Don't stop believing in yourself. And most importantly, don't stop believing in God. Choose to live your risen life, because it's not only a dream, it is promise.